the right.
You're listening to Inside the Park. Inside the Park.
Welcome, RSG family. This is Inside the Park with Hank and Hammer, or Hammer and Hank. that works a little bit better. We're good to see you. We're good to be with you guys. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball today. Ready for it? Today's episode, I wanted to talk to Hammer, with everything we're talking about in the climate that we're in, and clearly baseball is going to have a shortened season if and when it gets started. But a conversation came up a little bit before we had got to this. And before I even go a little further, let me introduce Hammer to the show. Hammer, how you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Look forward to the conversation.
Excellent. I know we're going to come in on both sides, on the opposite sides of this, but that's why I'm looking forward to this conversation. What we want to talk about a little bit is the season in of itself. Like I said, this year notwithstanding, it's going to be somewhat of a shortened season if and when they get started. But baseball is a 162-game season anyway, starting in late March and going all the way through October when you consider the playoffs, and sometimes through October into November. Thus Derek Jeter having the Mr. November title a few years ago. So I wanted to ask you, and to me, I feel like a 162-game season is too long. But you are on the opposite side of that. You feel like that is long enough. So before I give my reason why I think it's too long, I want to hear your reason on why you think it's long enough.
I mean, Hank, I'm old school. I enjoy every single day of the baseball season, especially, candidly, I'm a local guy. I'm a Cubs fan, and so I enjoy every single day of the season I can hear, as well as the 10 to 15 games that I go in person every year at Miller Park with friends and everything else, and enjoy baseball. Baseball for me is majesty in athletics, where again every game is special as far as it goes. And so again, for old school types like myself, I enjoy the 162 game season. I miss my Cubs right now. There will be a shortened season, no question, because of what's happening right now, but I would hope they would go back once there's a vaccine and proper protocols, go back to 162 game season without the DH, by the way, too, as well. And show us baseball as it is and get these kids again. I mean, the problem people have with baseball right now is that they say it's too slow, but, again, get our youth to understand patience and understand respect for elders, and also understand respect for tradition. And finally, understand that instant gratification is not the key in sports or life. The way baseball methodically goes and has great flashpoints makes it the game it is. So,
you know what? I appreciate your old school candor. I really do. But I'm going to have to rebut you a little bit in the fact that, number one, being an older old schooler, the baseball once upon a time had 152 games. Okay, but they did not have the expanded playoffs that they have right now. One of the things I have with baseball, and I love baseball. I absolutely love baseball. The start of the season for me is like a holiday. But the one thing about baseball that troubles me a little bit is there is a lot of dead areas in baseball. And let me explain that. That you have 82 home games. You have 82 games on the road. You have an expanded playoff, which is great. But the problem now is you have a bunch of teams out there that give up in the middle of the season, sell off all of their assets, and are playing out the string. Now, that's fine, because that's the nature of the sport. Not everybody's going to be playing for the playoffs every year, so I get that. But the problem that I have with baseball is the playoff format in and of itself. Not the format, but the playoff timing in and of itself. This is where I feel like baseball really needs to come into the 21st century. And let me explain. You have baseball playing, it starts in the cold and it ends in the cold. Now, you got these purists that want to say, well, that's the way it is. But no. Here's the way it is now. Baseball in its heyday was baseball and baseball alone. You didn't have ESPN. You didn't have all these networks. The baseball wasn't competing except for maybe the NFL, and the NFL was only playing on Sunday. Okay, you had the baseball, and now I'm giving you some old school history. You didn't have baseball competing with college football because college football only played on Saturdays, and baseball played every day of the week. So baseball has some exclusivity during the summer. They don't have that anymore. So now you have a game where you may have my Detroit Tigers, who lost 100 games again last year, against another team that lost 100 games last year, and then that's the game of the week. That's not going to draw any fans, not even your purists. And you can only drink so many beers in the 9 innings. So my point is this: baseball can shorten the season back to where it used to be at 152 ball games. They can keep their player. They can
not to correct you, 154, but that's another story, bro.
154. Okay, well, thank you. 154 ball games. I stand corrected. Okay, 154 ball games. They can expand their playoffs, and they can be playing playoff baseball right when the rest of these sports is getting started. This is where I think baseball is missing it, because they're playing meaningless games and they're allowing other sports to get a foothold on top of them. Sports like college football, sports like the NFL starts. You got sports like the NBA that's starting in October, when baseball can have all of September to itself. And this is where I struggle, because where you may have those teams that's really fighting, you have the rest of these teams that's playing out the string in September that's shooting holes into what should be baseball's crowning moment. And they can still have their World Series champion crown in October. But then you've got the baseball's championship versus just a meaningless September for many teams. What say you?
What I say you is that I think that I have a simple solution to that. Move the NBA season. No one's really watching those initial games until Christmas. That's really when the NBA season starts. And also, I think you look at the fact that the fans I look at the Bears, Cubs, Bulls. You act like we're watching one game at a time. Also, the way things are now with streaming services and things like that, you can watch your team anytime, your football anytime, your basketball.
But when I'm talking, go ahead.
So again, if you're a baseball fan, you can watch watch the product, and also be able to watch your local team, watch your Lions, watch your watch your Pistons.
Well, you just throwing them in there trying to piss me off. I'm gonna be okay with that.
I thought you were a fan, but we
ain't talking about them.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is to give baseball a little bit more oomph. Now you can say to me, because now they're trying to get to the point where they're playing in late March. How many of those games are now being canceled simply for what reason? Because of the weather. Now, they could do a lot of things about moving a lot of the games to warm weather climates to get those games in, as well as those stadiums that can close. It's got the retractable roofs to do that.
Yeah, like Miller Park, yeah.
Like Miller Park.
Every club should have a retractable roof. No fan should have to, cash in or go to game day. And that's unacceptable. But go ahead, not to go on.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. But I'm just looking at these teams that in September. I'm looking at September. September last year to me was hard to watch. September last year to me was hard to watch. Why? Because number one, the local team was out of it. Number two, you had a lot of what I call meaningless baseball. And see, where in NFL and a lot of these sports, where the draft is such a big deal, that when you're drafting in these other sports, you're actually drafting for players that could impact your team the next season. You don't have that luxury so much in baseball. For every Mike Trout,
you have young prospects that come up. That's not true.
But the thing is, these guys are not. You only bring these guys in. Truly, only bring these guys in baseball just to get them some playing time. They're not going to impact your team. They're not, because when you bring it up in September, they're not. They can't even be on your playoff roster. You see, so my thing is, this isn't the time to do all that. I think baseball is outdating itself on that they need to really be able to take the sport and make that playoff baseball in September. To me, they have that opportunity, but they're just kind of slow on the draw on that for a lot of meaningless games for prospects. If you want your prospects to play, that's why you got a minor league system. If you're
So
going to
you
bring
want
them
them
up,
to play at the
bring them
major
up
league
in
level,
July.
though. You don't want them to be playing in wherever I don't know what your affiliate is, but I think it's Nashville. But no, the one thing we're cutting around to chase the problem you're talking about as far as not looking at baseball and seeing or people is the fact that the lack of competitive balance. And the reason why we have a lack of competitive balance is because there's not a salary cap. There needs to be a salary cap in baseball. Now, obviously, the most powerful union in professional sports isn't going to allow that to happen, or there's going to have to be a serious trade-off. But that's the problem, is that when you have this lack of competitive balance, that's where there's been a problem with baseball as far as people not – you're right. There are a lot of teams that are there. As soon as the first pitch is thrown, they're out of it. I'm not talking about mathematically, because people have cut payroll and blah, blah, blah. So have a salary cap and also have a salary floor as well. Teams must spend a certain amount of money as well as have a salary cap, because that's what's happening, brother. You're right. Is that some of this ball is unwatchable. Like I said, I look at my local team. I'm looking forward to, but you're right as far as the sense nationally, as far as baseball goes, I really only watch until the playoffs. But if I'm a local fan, I want to see 162 games, to see the pitchers every 5 days, see the relief pitchers come in. Again, I'm old school about it, but I think that if we're able to get more competitive balance, that's where baseball is suffering at. It's suffering at the fact that it's not watchable per se, because most people's teams are out of it, again, by the first pitch of the year. And so that's the thing about it. And a salary cap where the Yankees of the world, and even the Cubs of the world, things like that, aren't on these spending sprees, and the Manny Machados of the world getting these crazy contracts. And you have and also the draft should be changed, where they're going to shorten the draft right now, which I think is a good idea. Have more free agents, but also the international players. It's ridiculous how they have it. The international players should be in the draft as well.
Exactly.
So it's equitable amount of opportunity for people to get international players the same way they get like, for instance, the Cuban players that come aboard. That's ridiculous that they come aboard.
It's a bidding war.
Precisely, because of different classifications, and also they bastardize the system by moving to some places not in the United States, so they're not eligible for the draft. And so that's the problem, the lack of better balance. We have a Wilson Contreras in my Cubs who should have been available to every team, but because the Cubs have the money and they're able to do these camps and I think he's from Venezuela or so, they're able to cultivate talent and have a strategic edge and advantage over other teams who don't have that talent.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem. Is the games aren't the problem. The product is the problem.
I mean,
the product's been compromised by the lack of salary cap, and the union's too powerful. You have the pitchers should not be making as much money they make. I mean, the Garrett Cole contract is absolutely ridiculous, and a salary cap would hold that down. Also, they need to cap salaries as well.
But you have to ask yourself, but about what you're saying, okay? Without a salary cap, but they got what they call this quote unquote luxury tax if they go over so much money. Who cares?
Like the Steinberg family worry about luxury tax.
But when you start talking about the product in and of itself, and this is the thing, this is why you're not going to. What you're talking about is absolutely true. But a salary cap at the very most right now would be ambitious with baseball. But what can baseball do to save some of the revenues that they're losing, especially late in the season when the other sports start to spark up? And what I notice and what I recognize is the fact that because baseball has not started the process of their playoffs, when these other sports spark up, you start seeing the fall classic start to fall in third behind regular season football games, behind regular season college football, behind regular season basketball, these sort of things. And this is because when you look at it, and I'm looking at it from an eye, who is your audience? Now, you could talk about you and I. We might watch the game because we want to watch the pitchers. But now revenue season is the playoff season. And when you look at the NBA, when they're playing their playoffs, who are they competing with? Baseball. That's it. Who is the NFL competing with? You've got the start of basketball season, but that's it. Because basketball is just playing in a regular season now. Okay. And when you look at the NHL starts theirs just before the NBA to get out the way. Baseball,
they're out the way anyway.
But I'm just saying, baseball is the one sport that's got its crown jewel of its entire season competing with all the other sports.
Well, there's a way to get around that too as well. We talked about,
but you can't expect. If I'm the NBA, I'm not going to change. If I'm the NFL, I'm not going to change because I'm getting your fan. I'm taking your fan from you. So baseball needs to make a difference. They need
the solution for that. The solution for that is
to shorten the season and take September to your
The solution for that is we talked about everyone should have a retractable roof, right? Because if you're a fan,
how is that going to get the fans to watch your product in October?
My point is that move the season up. Instead of the spring training nonsense, that's too long. Move the season up.
So now you're going to compete with college basketball if you're baseball.
Again, maybe that's the thing. I've not been as much of a college basketball fan because of these one and dones.
But you can't do baseball and March Madness. Baseball is going to lose. Okay,
but I'm saying year games. I don't think that's going to be. If you talk about beginning of year games, I mean, again, like I said, March Madness is done on Tuesdays and Thursdays and stuff like that. In the beginning of the week, you can still see baseball almost every day of the week. Maybe Mondays off, but again, like I said, I find ways. I'm a March Madness fanatic as well as basketball fanatic. I watch all the things at the same time. So again, like I said, there's so much flexibility you can have as far as watching these sports. The way again we deliver the product as far as streaming services as well as other mediums that we have. So like I said, if you want to move it up or maybe let's say a month or so, but I think spring training is ridiculous. It's too long. It makes no sense. Again, you have these, but they're in Arizona, Florida. Start the season. I'm a baseball fanatic, but I will not listen to spring training ball. I think it's garbage. You talk about garbage. That's garbage because you have the split squad games. You have the pitchers pitching 3 innings. I'm like, it's not real baseball. And then as far as you're looking at the players who are fighting for spots. It's not the case anymore as far as the Albert Pujols is coming out of nowhere and winning a job at spring training. Most of the time, the way these prospects are broken down, especially the MLB Network, they already know. They've already slotted who's going to start the season. There are very few surprises as far as people with prospects coming out of nowhere. The perfect example is look at how drafting has gotten much more precise. It used to be where we had a brother, not the door of tangent, Jeffrey Johnson. You're a baseball fan who was drafted by Phillies, number 4 pick in the draft, couldn't get A-ball.
Right.
That scout, I'm sure, got fired. So
baseball it's not an exact science when it comes to that.
But it's gotten better though. I remember
it has gotten better.
Where you would have serious misses maybe on probably 50% of the prospects. You don't have that now. You have where they're either drafting college players, they're drafting more the players who, as high school, really going to translate. And the drafting has gotten much more precise. There's been more hits than misses on drafting. So therefore, my point is that these prospect battles we used to have that spring training had, and trying to make a hard knocks for baseball or something like that, is not happening right now. So get rid of spring training. Give a short period of time, and then let's get the ball. And let's ball in, again, a retractable roof. If you're getting all this money and people getting public money, there should be no rainouts. There should be no inclement cancellations. We should be able to, every baseball game that I, as an average fan, pay for, I should go to with, I won't say 100% certainty, but almost 99.9% certainty that we do that. And so that's the problem. And that's why
but you're gonna have some of these owners in these cold weather cities are not gonna lose that revenue. Try to spend that money to try, because a stadium, a roof over Yankee Stadium, that's sacrilege.
I think sacrilege again to have a rain out, especially in New York City, one of the most expensive places, not expensive place to live in. You have a rain out, and let's say I'm the average fan. I've been waiting for that game all year, and I've got a family of 4, and I have to do my schedule around a rain out. That's unacceptable.
Wow.
And they should know that. And especially the way that, you're looking right now as far as the economy being damaged. So when things go back to new normalcy, whatever you want to call that, are people going to really sacrifice? You look at a baseball game, for example, it's very expensive. Now, I'm a single guy with no children. I can go to a baseball game anytime I want to and get great seats and go and with friends and have friends who pay for me, because I'm a teetotaler, so they know Carl going to drive home and nothing's going to happen, He's going to be safe. He's going to be good. He's a good driver. But if you're a family of 4, that's a supreme sacrifice. It's going to be more of a sacrifice because it's unconscionable, I think, that you have a family of 4 wanting to go see a baseball game, and then because of Mother Nature, that whole day is wiped out. That vacation day you took with the family is wiped out. That day that you took away, that you budgeted in your budget, is messed up, and so it's unfair. And so again, you talk about going with the times.
So bottom line it for me, Hammer. What would you like to see baseball do as far as the season?
I would like to see baseball do is again market better their big players. There's no reason why Mike Trout is a no-name internationally. It's ridiculous. Their marketing is raggedy, as we say in the hood, raggedy. And so they're not selling the play, especially also you look at the demographics of baseball. There's no reason why that, again, a great marketing product wouldn't be able. You have the Latinx population growing. Sadly, you have that's been a sacrifice of an African American player, but I think that we can play 162 games. We can get the culture back, but the main thing is market the players better, market the game better. That's the problem with baseball, is that Rob Manfred has been a poor commissioner as far as selling the game of baseball and being able to navigate in the NFL landscape. And also, there's not the fanfare as far as off season and other things at the NFL. NFL is 365 days a year. Baseball should be the same way as far as it goes. And the problem is the union's too powerful. I'm a union guy, but the union is way too powerful. The salaries are out of control. And I think, again, the marketing of the game is just so poor that they need to sit down with whoever's marketing for NFL, whoever's marketing for NBA, and really lift up their players. Like a Javi Baez should be an international superstar. He's not. Javi Baez is one of the best talents in baseball, period. I mean, exciting, where I just love even hearing him on the radio. And the one thing they're not utilizing is the radio too, and as well. A lot of people listen to their baseball, but old school on the radio. I mean, I turn on and listen to a Cub game every time. So that's the thing, that they're not, again, marketing this product the best way they can. The way they do soccer in Europe, or the way they do. I mean, people are literally around the globe. Bundesliga games right now, those games that are happening right now, people are going there because they're marketing. They're saying we got soccer now, and people are watching that. And baseball is not aggressive about that. They know the money's. They know now. They knew, I should say, the money was coming in. The TV money was coming in. They've been lackadaisical as far as selling their players, selling their product. That's why the Generation Z, the millennials, have rejected it and gone with the LeBron James of the world or the Tom Brady's, because there seemed to be more where Mike Trout should be an international name. Mike Trout big dude, white dude. Let's be real about it. White guy with tremendous speed, power, the 5 tools. You know what I'm talking about? This guy, this guy should be. If Mike Trout walked down State Street in Madison right now, nobody would know. Very few people would know who he is.
Right. So you're saying, what baseball should do: start the season sooner, retractable rules, market their players better, and then they can still play the 162 games.
Yeah, and then I would go a step further. I think the wild card is heresy. Every single series like NBA should be 7 games. It should not be where it should not be where you play 162 games.
Right.
And then one game determines
I agree with
season.
You. So on that premise, I'm saying that if you're saying start the season earlier, fine. But September needs to be your playoffs. Listen, we gonna leave it with you all. We want to know what you think. September time need to be playoff time in baseball, but we're going to disagree a little bit on the length of the season. But we want with our viewers know what you think. Okay, that's going to be our show for this evening. This is going to be our new moniker. Okay, Hammer and Hank on Inside the Park. I kind of like that. That's got a nice ring to it. Join us next time. We're gonna keep baseball alive until the season's going. I know we got some debates to talk about. We got.
So baseball's gonna be alive. I mean, look at Korean baseball. It's gonna be alive. People watching Korean baseball, so it's
not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
But they gotta do it. But the reintegration, brother, they gotta do right, because this is a time where we can actually reset the needle with baseball. And I'm afraid that they're not doing that. Even though
they're not.
Obviously, we're in a health crisis right now. Health is key, but you have to also look at the marketing. I'm not seeing the marketing at all with the players. I'm seeing a very lackadaisical, passive model of marketing sports, which is really a failure as far as other sports go.
Right. And what we're going to do right now, Rob Manfred, if you're listening, pay attention, because we may give you enough nuggets of information for you to fix baseball. That's going to be our show for this evening. This is Hammer and Hank with Inside the Park and RSG Network. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.
Peace.
You're listening to Inside the Park. Inside the Park.